So you have to wonder, is Katan coming in Artisan form? Yes. Is Jason Momoa, Aquaman, coming in Artisan form? Yes. How about Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker? Are they coming in DX Artisan form? Yes and yes. Am I doing another giveaway on the Christmas Eve morning special with Aries? Yes and yes. And do I have fresh brewed coffee here from 6 Scale Cantina in the 6 Scale Cantina mug? Yes. And have I heard from the Hot Toys Wizard on what may be coming before the end of 2023? Let's go ahead and dive into all of this right now. All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of the Market Value Chart Show right here at the 6 Scale Cantina. And just in case you don't know just who I am the Dark Jedi, Aries Tarrington, about to serve up all the 6 Scale action figure talk. So please go ahead and smash that like button. I so do very much appreciate your support. And hey, while you're at it, baby, please go ahead and also subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Again, thank you for your support. So before we get into everything on this banner and what's going on with the market right now, let's address this. So this was in my last video, and we talked about it. I talked about it on Brother Cousin's Best of the Best this past Thursday, live on Thursday night. And as I said, you know, in my market show last week, or earlier this week, just really a few days ago that's been up, I thought it was going to be very, very telling what I saw MRC Collection Ventures, again, shout out to Reagan. It was going to be very telling for me to be able to differentiate between what is reality and what is not if I were to go ahead and acquire this figure. Also, Brother Cousins was able to show, Jay was able to show this live on Best of the Best. He had the figure and showed the head sculpt. And just as I suspected, and as I want to go ahead and reiterate here, sometimes the final blogger photos, these final production photos on these Hot Toys releases are just not very good. And like, for instance, this picture right here, as I pull this up on the screen, this here is, in my view, not very good. Not only does Cobb not look great and it looks fake, but that Mandalorian Beskar version, which was figure of the year for some people, doesn't look that great. That Tusken Raider doesn't look that great. This picture doesn't look like something out of a movie. Nothing here looks that great. So, in my opinion, Hot Toys has got to do a better job to make sure that they consistently put out final production photos that whet the appetite of the collectors, to ensure that there's not a huge upcry right off the bat. I mean, just some of these, that one's not bad there. I actually thought that this was maybe the best photo in the whole thing. Was this one that's on the screen here. To be quite honest with you, and sometimes less is more. Sometimes less is more, And it's something that many photographers and artists understand, whether they're creating art, whether it's visually, whether it's audibly, whether it's in words. But some of these are just like this one here is awful. And it reminds me of some of the awful photos that were taken when the Rey from Rise of Skywalker or that Kylo Ren or that Lando came out. Just, gosh, I mean, the Tusken Raider looks worse here. Mando doesn't look great. Nothing here looks great. I almost really feel that if you can't get the photography done right, maybe go ahead and do some videos of the release itself. Have someone just raw, just like Brother Cousins did on Best of the Best. Put up the head sculpt, put up the figure, here you go. No background, this is what you get. And sometimes that's what Hot Toys is. It's realistic. It's one of the reasons, anyway, that I and many of you collect Hot Toys is because the head sculpts look absolutely unbelievable. They look like a real person. They look like the real thing. It's as if you have the real actress or actor in your hand, baby. And sometimes you don't need to manipulate it. Sometimes you don't need to worry so much about the background. Sometimes you just need to show the darn thing. And is it possible that Hot Toys should really just show it up, the raw footage? This is what you get? And I say, yes. I really, really do. And it was the same thing with that Wolverine. And I watched MRC's video on that, and I got to see the video on that figure, and I think it's just way better looking raw than with all those backgrounds. So, just my 2 cents there for sure. You're watching the Market Chart Show. Pause. Coffee right here. Cheers to you and happy holidays. So, going to the market here as we're getting close to the holiday season. What's going on with some of the figures that are hard to get, that are grails in this very bad, junky global economy where there's just not enough expendable income as there once was, as the rate of inflation is still too high and we can't even catch up from when it was even higher a few years ago, where not enough people are able to come into this hobby and many other hobbies right now due to the lack of expendable income, where the people that were in this hobby have to make hard choices and cut down on what they're collecting because they don't have, and I don't have, and you don't have, for the most part, as much anywhere near expendable income. What is going on? And, you know, pulling these up onto the screen, let's take a look at some things that are going on here for sure. And pulling this up, you can see with this figure right here, this is a Grail. And this is the DX08 Jack Nicholson Joker from an outstanding seller, Hawk Wars Toys. Now over 1,850 feedback, 1,853, all 100% positive. And he just sold it. Not even a best offer. For $595. Not even including the $28.38 in shipping. Wow. And that goes to show, even in a bad economy, even when expendable income is not really there, you still sell some of these grails, and even seeing some of them inching up, going higher, with some ebbs and flows. Shout out to Ray here, Hawk Wars Toys. I do buy from him from time to time, and highly recommend the seller. But right there, you could see a Grail doing well, even in this economy. Let's go to some more. And here is from Rogue One, a Death Trooper Specialist, MMS 399 Deluxe. And this is just a trooper, ladies and gentlemen, with different iterations and even iterations from the Mandoverse. And it still went for $420, just back from December 3rd. From an outstanding seller, 127 feedback, all 100% positive, $420. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Let's stay with Star Wars. Some of these taking a hit, not really. Here's Princess Leia from A New Hope, MMS 298, $495 with 6 bids. Wow. Not including the $20 in shipping. Wow. I mean, you're basically talking about almost $550 all in for a Leia from A New Hope. And how old is this release already? Wow. And let's continue to go on. Staying with Star Wars. Here's the Emperor on the chair. And this also is very telling on what people are looking for, what collectors are looking for, what's going to be number one for an exorbitant amount of weeks on Sideshow, for instance, if Hot Toys were to release some OT figures, $505.55 with 29 bids, not including the 25 in shipping, well over $550 for this particular figure. Wow. And this is the Emperor from what film that has a 40th anniversary? The Return of the Jedi. Let's stay with Star Wars. And yes, even in this economy, yes, it gets close to $1,000. $815. Tarkin and Vader. 29 bids. Not including 25 in shipping. Near $900 for a 2-pack. With some of these, or even see them go a little higher, or just be a little bit off from their normal value, around $75 to $125. But very, very, very highly sought after. But what's the point of this? People have limited money in which they could spend, because there's only so much money that they can spend. And there are certain figures and certain characters in whatever IP that it is that collectors are going to spend their money on right now. And that data right there is very, very telling. What's going to happen? Those are, how many OT figures did I put up there right now? How many classic figures, like from the 1989 Batman, did I put up there, like the Jack Nicholson Joker? Right now, these are some of the things that collectors are clamoring for, that they really, really want. What happens if some Return of the Jedi figures come up? What happens if a Bespin Han comes up? What happens if any OT figure like that comes up? What happens if some dynamic prequel figures come up? Remember that Bespin Luke, that DX24 and DX25 Luke, which is on waitlist and is now starting to fetch close up to $400 in some places. Give that a year or so. Especially with more content of Star Wars getting set to come out in the upcoming years. But that stayed number one. While the Multiverse of Madness was out, coming off a Spider-Man movie, there was a show on Disney Plus as well that was dedicated to Marvel, for instance. There were other big shows on television. And a character that was released before by Hot Toys with the DX07 from a movie in 1980 was number one for 8 weeks. 8 weeks. So you have to ask yourself, is that the reason why figures like this go for this kind of money within the secondary market? And I say, yes. A lot of yeses on this show today. Did you smash that like button yet? Wow. And then at the same token, there's actually some figures right now that you could get deals on that are grails. People are choosing which ones to come out with. So even if you do come out with what people want, it better be in the numbers that would be appropriate to the data and trends from market research. Otherwise, some of these just won't go at the current state. And I could tell you right now, people are picking and choosing what they want to go ahead and get. And you can look at this seller right here. 206 feedback. All 100% positive. And for a DX18, $214.50. Wow. This mall, which is a great mall. I got this figure. $214.50, albeit 21 bids. Well out of stock, but on wait list forever, right? Not including the 25 in shipping. And again, what does this show? Not as much money. Remember when figures like this, figures like the Mud Trooper, figures in NEIP, oh, okay, people were spending $400, $450, sometimes $500 on those figures. If it's not the Jack Nicholson Joker, if it's not Leia from A New Hope, it doesn't even go. I mean, it's just saying. Just saying. And when it's in stock and available regularly, it's hard as well. And look, I have no idea how many Hot Toys produced of this MMS 595 Christian Bale Batman, which at some retailers has been on discount over the last several weeks, and I would imagine is going to be running out soon. But you could see right here, $182.50. A complete $180 from some of the other things I show you up there. What is the difference? Supply and demand. There's supply available on this. It's easy to get. Not much demand. You want what you can't get. And this has also been out for forever and a day. Anyone who really wanted it has had ample opportunity to acquire it. That's part of what's going on here. The adverse effect, when it goes out of stock, here's another trooper. I brought up the Rogue One Death Trooper Specialist Deluxe. And here's one that's, from the Attack of the Clones anniversary. And you got to be kidding me. $335 for this clone? For this clone. $335 with 26 bids. Not including $20 in shipping, so $355. Not including taxes, almost $400 for this 20th anniversary clone? Why? Because low supply equals high demand, cause and effect. When you don't produce that many, there's a certain itch from collectability. And when you produce less, does it enhance collectability across the board? And I say, yes, it does. It really does. Let's continue to go with some more. And look, and I'll bring this up again. Another one. And these, here's the Wonder Woman, the MMS 698 Warner Brothers 100 Wonder Woman with the wool-rooted hair, for all intents and purposes, an Artisan. but going with the Warner Brothers 100 tag, and a U.S. seller, and $620 and just sold. No best offer or anything. 88 feedback. All 100% positive. Well over the retail price. Why? Because there's only 1,500 of these worldwide. And from today until the end of time, there will always only be 1,500 of the Warner Brothers 100 anniversary Gal Gadot Wonder Woman. And what does that mean for figures? Old versions of figures. Figures that don't have wool-rooted hair. Figures that don't have rolling eyes function. Okay? Figures that are just not as good as some of the stuff that is coming out now from these 6-scale collecting companies. And quite honestly, it's a mixed bag. You can't just go out and say everything that was before, if there's an improved figure, they're going to just crash and not be worth anything. And you can't really say, oh yes, but there's intrinsic value and they're going to go up. I think it depends on the character. It depends on the release. It depends on the mechanism of that release. Like, for instance, staying with this Wonder Woman, for instance, they're going to come out with another wool-rooted hair Gal Gadot. You could bet the house on it. And it probably will have a rolling eyes function. And it may be even more enhanced than this just because of that. But will it have this Warner Brothers 100 base? I say no. Will it be this Warner Brothers 100 Wonder Woman to the T like the way this looks? I say no. And will this still remain exclusively just 1,500? I say yes. So, now when you're looking at a figure like this, there's a reason for it not necessarily to decrease in value, even if ones in the future are a little bit better. And honestly, with these coming out today, and I have this figure, and many of you know I have it behind me, if you can go ahead and make it out. Gosh, let's see. Let's see here as I can point my finger in the right direction. There it is. Keep going, keep going. There she is, right below in that case. Right there, there, right there. It's definitely the highlight of my collection right now. Yeah. I don't know how much better you can get. You can get a little bit better, but that was still going to be always pretty darn good. It's not like figures that were coming out during the DX04, DX05, DX07 time. I noticed I skipped DX06 because that Jack Sparrow was money, baby. Money. So, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Look, you could even take, and this is a character that's coming out. Pulling this up onto the screen. Here's Bane. And this just sold on December 2nd for $324 from an outstanding seller with 3,957 feedback. All 100% positive. You want to talk about old. MMS 183. And this is up. This is up on pre-order, a new version. And this is still fetching this. Why? It's pretty good, this one, actually, to be quite honest with you. But here, I can pull this one up. Let's stay within Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. And pulling this up on the screen, here's Selena Kyle. And from that same era, MMS 188, but only $161. And certainly the one that's up right now is superior to this one. Why is that Bane doing better than this one? So there's no answer concretely for each character or each situation that's going to say, it's definitely going to decrease, that's the end of it, or it's definitely going to increase no matter what happens. each one plays out a little bit differently. Look, I could pull this up onto the screen. And this is a very recent figure from MMS, 534 from Endgame. And we got another Gamora that just hit waitlist, but this is only getting $136. And how much vastly superior is the new Gamora to this one? I don't know. This one's really good, to be honest with you. This is really good, this Gamora. I'm not quite sure the new one just blows this out of the water and, like that Selena one. But, again, if you're seeing that this Endgame one, which is really good, is only fetching 136, and you're trying to put together why this freaking Nebula on Sideshow has already hit waitlist and hasn't been out that long, and the movie just came out this year, and it's already on waitlist. Why is that going on? Is Hot Toys getting data that shows that some of these characters or some figures are just not getting interest? So that production better be 1,500. Better be 3,500, or whatever the case may be. But is that what's going on with the waitlist items? And I say, pause. You're watching the Market Chart Show. Coffee is delicious. Happy holidays. I say yes. Of course I say yes. Of course I say yes. But going back to the whole premise, but then again, look, again, rarity. And already this has 2 bids, and it's got 57 minutes left and counting down, as you can see on the screen. And it's the Garfield Spider-Man, MMS 658, and this is acting like a grail. Ooh, who's going to get the DX06? Ooh, who's going to be able to go ahead and get the, the DX15, Jack Sparrow? Who's going to go ahead and get this older figure? This is a new figure. Go figure. Outstanding seller, 311 feedback, all 100% positive. I mean, $315. Wow. Not including the $746 in shipping. That's pretty darn good. Again, people are going for this. Cause and effect. Supply and demand. And you see a lot of the deals that have been going on all over the place. And I think they're going to continue for all figures that are coming out and for the long haul. But I don't think at the extent like we're seeing this year, because I do not believe that Hot Toys is producing, or any collectible company in anything is producing at the level that they were at or before COVID with this economy at all. Pretty cool banner, isn't it? Look, you come out, and look, we could talk about 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi all day. I'm going to stay away from that for a minute, actually. Because sometimes Hot Toys hits us with not the obvious. So, one of the figures that they just came out with that was a success up for 8 weeks, as you can see up on the banner, is the Bespin Luke. And there's been a lot of collectors who have been suggesting that they, including myself, that they would come out with a battle damage version of this particular figure eventually. But it's a new day. It's a new day and it's a new age. And we've got Artisan DX. We've got Hot Toys competing with InArt. We've got InArt competing with Hot Toys. And you have to ask yourself, look at this Luke. Look at his hair. Would this be an absolutely epic, outstanding Artisan DX edition? And I say yes. And would they give you a sculpted version? Probably not. Probably not. Not with this one, but they may. But that already came out. But if they wanted it just like the Anakin, putting that out without a sculpted version. But they've already got this. And if they wanted to put out a limited edition, limited to 2,500 pieces, limited to 1,500 pieces, can you imagine that? Oh my goodness. Limited to 4,000 pieces, like the Joker. This would go absolutely insane. And as a Star Wars fan, to have a Luke in my collection that looks as real as this, like that Artisan Anakin, I would be absolutely losing my darn mind. Is it possible that Hot Toys has it on their docket to come out with another Bespin Luke, and possibly in Artisan form, and very, very soon? And the Hot Toys Wizard says yes. Oh yeah. And again, we've got Return of the Jedi on the McBrain. We really, really do. I mean, and sure, that could happen. He has the hair right here, baby. That hair works. Give me that Artisan version. Let's go. How they would brand it when you're branding it 40th as well would be interesting. But let's go. He's got the hair right here. Look at that hair. He's got the hair right there. For sure. For sure. But what about her? And just look at this. You want to talk about they just came out with Elizabeth Olsen, the Scarlet Witch, and you know we're talking about they could come out with the Jabba's prisoner Leia. They could come out with the Bouche Leia. They could come out with the Endor Forest Leia. The hair that she had at the ending scene of that. What if they don't come out with anything Return of the Jedi, and they just give you again another Empire Strikes Back Leia, which would go great with that Artisan, if they're going to give you an Artisan Bespin Han, and to give you this with this hair from Leia, from Empire Strikes Back. Wow. And could you imagine if they limited this to 1,500 pieces, like that Gal Gadot Wonder Woman? Or limited this Leia to 2,500, like the Scarlet McWitch? Ooh, baby. Wow. Wow. And what about this guy here? You know, we do have a movie coming up. And you have to wonder, does this say Artisan all over it? And I say yes. And look, the beard is long enough the way he has it where absolutely they could do that as well. But you want to talk about putting out a Artisan Aquaman and a sculpted version? I would be all over this figure in a heartbeat. And again, this goes along the theme. This would be, and if they can get it to look, if they come out with an Artisan version that looks as good as this photo, kind of like the Anakin Artisan, kind of like the Scarlet Witch Artisan, kind of like the Heath Ledger Joker Artisan. If they can get Aquaman to come out and look just like this, there's not a chance in the galaxy the Dark Jedi is not adding this Aquaman to my collection. This is what it's all about, and this is why I collect Hot Toys, is because of that realism. And if they could get it to work like this, oh my goodness. Now, there's going to be some figures that come out that I don't need wool rooted hair, to be quite honest, and I know a lot of you feel that way. But with this guy and the way he wears his hair, come on. I mean, come on. And I'm a huge Jethro Tull fan. Aquaman, Aqualung. Come on. Come on. I'm going to be giving away another Hot Toy figure and some goodies during my Christmas Eve morning special with Aries coming up the third consecutive year. coming up Christmas Eve here. Gosh, in just, what is it? It's like 20 days. Put that on your calendars right now. I'm actually going to put that up on YouTube very, very early. So you're not going to want to miss that. And I appreciate all the members here on 6 Scale Cantina and who subscribe to me like it's Netflix. I've got a vast library. And some of you know it's just been a little bit crazy in my personal life lately. But I'm back being able to record lots of content. And this one is, in fact, now going up here over the next couple of days. It's a whole Drunk on Coffee show. And if you want to join the channel, I appreciate the support. It's cheaper than a dozen eggs in most places, baby. It's way cheaper than a gallon of gas in California. Way, way, way cheaper in most places. What is it, $6 over there? Don't miss this. This is going to be awesome. If you like what you heard here today, just click on the little join button. See everything that being a member of 6 Scale Cantina does. I do appreciate your support. This is coming up and coming out over the next 48 hours. For sure, baby. And plus a whole lot more for the month of December. Thank you all for joining the channel. And also, what you gonna do when the Dark Jedi goes 6 Scale Raw on you? Tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, it is the Dark Jedi, Aries Tarrington, and I'll be serving up all the 6 Scale action figure talk on Raw, 6 Scale Raw. Don't miss it tomorrow. I'm going to be giving information on the giveaways, all kinds of good stuff that's going to be coming up tomorrow. I'm going to have a full panel in the house. Do appreciate your support. Make sure you're there. Again, tomorrow, December 4th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. It is 6 Scale Raw. We go 8:30 to 10:15, baby. I don't always buy coffee out, but when I do, I do it right here at the 6 Scale Cantina. Stay thirsty, my friends.
Working